All right. Hi, guys. I'm here with Jacob Cox. I'm Mike Waskosky, and we're interested in having a chat today about some metaphysics concepts, some
Yeah, absolutely.
spirituality concepts. We thought a good topic for this discussion would be living a life of abundance.
hmm
What does that look like? What does that involve? Um, what are your thoughts on the nature of abundance?
Well, the first thing that really comes to mind is that, living the life where all the things that we kind of need and we want are there for us, however they show up. Not necessarily it's all about money, but money certainly is a good energy that it's not negative nor positive. It's just, it is, and we get to use our idea of it however we want to. I don't think that money's the root of all evil or, some, negative, bad thing. I think that if that's your idea of it, certainly it'll be hard for you to get money. But I think it's just energy, and you can do a lot of great things with it. But I don't think that's the end all be all of abundance. I think things, and I know things have shown up in my life that seemingly showed up like magic just when I needed it. And I've started to realize how that works a little bit. So I'm excited about the topic today.
Yeah. It's very interesting to me how the entire universe is made of energy. Everything is just energy,
Mm-hmm.
and it's kind of like why are we so interested in certain kinds of energy, like pursuing certain things in this world, pursuing possessions or money,
Mm-hmm.
or happiness. Happiness is kind of an energy. We're getting more positive energy. Why are we choosing to pursue things? And is there more of a purpose for why things unfold the way they do? And by analyzing the way in which things are unfolding, can we then get more of what we're seeking?
Mm-hmm.
And why aren't we getting what we're seeking?
Right. I've heard it said, and I think I've experienced it my own life now at this point, and realized that I think we're always getting what we're seeking. However, we're always not conscious and aware of the things that we're really asking for. I think there are certain phrases and ideas that come to us. One, and for instance, is money doesn't grow on trees. You hear that line a lot as a kid, that it's something that's hard to get, something you have to work for. And I think if that's the law, each one of us is our own universe, and we all have our own laws. And if that's the law to your universe, that money doesn't grow on trees, it's hard to get, it's the root of all evil, then it's going to be hard for you to have money. It's going to be hard for it to come into your life because you've got this really negative idea attached to it. But money can be an exceptionally great thing and do a lot of great things with it. So I think it's how we perceive certain things to be that can control how things show up for us. Another thing is, I think people say when it rains it pours. That saying. I get up in the morning and I stub my toe. Man, it's going to be one of those days. And if that's your philosophy, and you are a powerful creator. So if you think today it's going to pour on you, all kinds of bad things, watch out, because I believe it's coming. And I think we can get really, really good at being in the wrong place at the wrong time and the wrong things showing up for us. But that is what we're asking for, I think.
Yeah. So already we're talking about the metaphysical principles, which suggest that the way in which we believe things, the way in which we view things, are directly related to the things that we will be experiencing.
Mm-hmm.
So can we distill some of this down to understand what is the purified nature of this relationship between the way in which we think and the way in which things are occurring? Are things occurring because that's something that we were needing on some level?
Mm-hmm.
And why were we needing it?
So kind of talking a little bit about karma here, like
Yeah.
we're needing certain things and things are showing up. So again, I think when we have a certain idea of the universe, again, let's take the when it rains it pours idea. If that's your belief system, if that's what you truly think how the universe works, the universe gives it to you. And when we get emotional about it, whether positive emotion or negative emotion, the fact that we're getting, our brain is thinking it, and then we're marrying it with the emotional feeling, then you're really manifesting it super quickly. And I think that's what's happening, is we're asking for it in that way. When we get upset about something and we have a lot of emotional charge to it, that's really drawing it in a lot faster. And so I think that is we're always bringing in things. We're always bringing in people, places, events, circumstances, situations, and by what we think and how we feel. And again, marrying those things together really makes them come even faster. So, I think we're even bringing in lack if we don't believe that we're in the wrong place at the wrong time, you can get really good at calling in lack. Like I'm never in the right place at the right time. I'm always showing up a day late, a dollar short, and all of these phrases and stuff, and they become the laws of our universe. And so I think that we're always manifesting something, whether it's abundance or lack, or I think if we're halfway in between, then we're kind of getting a halfway situation where sometimes things are good and sometimes things are bad. But
yeah. So it seems as though there's a reason that the bad things happen when we're manifesting lack.
Mm-hmm.
And is it trying to wake us up towards something? Is it trying to teach us that there might be a different way of pursuing life than we've been recognizing?
Mm-hmm.
And ultimately, do you think that there's some kind of a spiritual purpose for the negative experiences that we go through that would lead us out of that?
Mm-hmm. Yeah, I don't think that it's the universe saying that you deserve this by any means. I don't think that they're saying like, oh, you're asking for this. I just believe that we're here, we're present, and we're thinking and we're feeling, and those things send out messages to the universe to bring something to us. And so instead of it being like a negative experience and seeing it that way, it just is. And I think the contrast is what helps us realize like what life do we want. When I'm thinking negatively, when I'm really concerned with what's happening in my life, and I'm upset, and I'm telling everybody about it. I see a lot of people sharing, let me tell you about my bad day. Let me tell you about my boss that I hate. Let me tell you about all these things, and I'm going to get real emotional about it and tell you. And then a lot of times we're expecting others to share the exact same negative things in their life as well, and then it becomes just a really big pity party or whatever. But I don't necessarily think that it's like the universe's way of like punishing us. I just think that's what it is. That's what happens. And so if we want to draw in negative experiences, that we will. And we get that opportunity to realize like, hey, I created this. I am responsible for my life. I'm responsible for the lack of love, the lack of connection, the lack of anything, and that's on me. It's not on anybody else. And I think that's one of the big ways to really turn in your abundance on is take responsibility for your own life and what's showing up, and that I'm the creator of that.
Absolutely. So it would seem that a lot of what the problem has been is people not taking responsibility and blaming outside forces, outside situations, and saying this is why I'm in this situation, ultimately never recognizing their choice of how they got in that situation. Yeah. So I guess talking about responsibility more, what would taking responsibility really look like in a person's life?
Oh yeah. So number one, the responsibility is taking your life into your own hands, right? Saying that I'm the creator of all the things that happen, the creator of my living situation, the job I'm in, my family life, whether people aren't taking advantage of me. I literally, how I love myself is showing how others to love me as well. I'm giving you the blueprint. Here it is. I'm either kind to myself and I love myself and I forgive myself, or I'm very hard on myself and I'm very judgmental to me, and that's the blueprint for how you expect others to do the same thing. So number one, I think, is realizing that I'm the creator, I'm responsible for my life, and that looks like me taking my power back and saying, I'm not going to allow myself to give that authority to someone else. When you say, you make me angry, you make me upset, I'm giving you all the power. I'm just completely giving away my power and saying, you got all the power to make me angry and upset. Mm-hmm. There may be things that you say that I don't like and I don't enjoy, but I can't allow that to make me upset or get me angry or make, Like, that's your thoughts and your feelings, and you're entitled to those, and how you feel about me and how you think about the universe. I need to detach myself from that.
I probably could bring up some law of one principles here, because a lot of people get stuck in cycles of frustration. It's almost like we're looking for the thing that has frustrated us in the past a lot of times, and we create this cycle. We keep encountering it over and over, and justifying our inability to ultimately decide to. In the law of one terms, they say with frustration, with anger, the purpose is to push us in one of two directions. They say the negatively oriented use of catalyst is that of the path of control, and the positively oriented use of catalyst is the path of acceptance. So ultimately, and when we don't choose one of the paths, that's when the anger sits deeper into our souls, and it gets suppressed, and it can turn into physical blockages like cancer, like we can have physical issues that start to manifest because of it. But ultimately, when we're releasing it either in the path of control or the path of acceptance, and that can, to me, acceptance often means forgiveness. And a lot of times, I don't think we recognize in the moments of frustration that's ultimately what we're being pushed into, is this added force of catalytic energy that is requiring us to make some kind of a decision about how are we going to deal with this excess energy. Where's it going to go? Where's it going to be put? So we can feel like we have to rearrange our lives and push other people out of our lives or change other people in some way, and that's the path of control. And that's what I think our society is often taught to do with anger, more often than complete acceptance and forgiveness, because there are logical reasons we're taught that forgiveness doesn't make sense, that acceptance doesn't make sense, because we're in a society where we want to gain more power in general.
Yeah.
And ultimately, sometimes it seems to me that quest for power is what prevents those on the positive path from recognizing, the true nature of their path was one of humility and acceptance of the situation that they're in order to open their hearts more. And then through opening their hearts in those situations, then they can find that other path of abundance where things happen magically.
Right. Yeah. And I've had that magical feeling show up many times now. And I think it started with realizing that I was like a toroidal field of energy, that what I gave out came back to me. And I realized if I wanted more likes on Facebook, it was imperative to give more likes on Facebook to others. If I wanted more money, it was imperative to give money to others, and so on and so forth. I mean, one of the examples that comes to my mind, the first was I used to work at a restaurant and I would leave late and I would have a lot of cash in my pocket. And I would typically give, $10, $20, $30 to 3 or 4 people sometimes on the way home. And I lived like 50 yards away. And I felt good about that for the most part, but there were a lot of people that came in and said, "Hey, why'd you give so-and-so that money?" And it made me feel bad. It made me feel like, they're going to go buy crack with it at, 3 o'clock in the morning. And I was like, oh, well, maybe you're not wrong, but I feel good about giving, so I don't know what to do. So I kind of told everybody I need some time. And I told the people that I gave money to on the street that, hey, I just need to work some things out and figure some things out. So if you guys could not ask me for a little bit, and that, as I said, I was pretty generous, so I gave money to people sometimes. So they were pretty honoring in that. So it went a couple months, and I did my yoga and meditation, and really pondering that question, asking the universe for an answer, and I really expected one. And so one day, it had been a couple months of that, and I'm feeling good. I've been doing my practice and working on myself, and I made a lot of money, and I'm walking home one night, and a couple came up to me, and they said, "Hey, man, Jacob, we really need some money for some to eat tonight. If you could give us some money, just a little bit for a sandwich or something, that would be great." And they were 2 people that, religiously always helped us out, came and took the trash out for me. They would literally do anything I asked them to do, And so I was like, you know what, here you go. And I pulled a 20 out and gave it to them, and gave them both a hug and told them I loved them. Said, "Here's some for breakfast in the morning." And then I walked home and went to bed, and went to sleep. And that giving them that 20 was giving in a way that I'd never actually given before. I hadn't gave money in a while. I didn't feel bad about it. I felt great about it. I felt a lot of gratitude to have that much money and give that much money to somebody. I gave more than was asked of me. And so, like I said, again, giving was something that always typically felt good. So the next morning I woke up, and an ex-girlfriend had called and asked if I still had this rock band, set, and we played it every night. And, it was fun for a little bit, but we stopped playing it. So I tried to sell on Facebook and Craigslist and all things, and I didn't get one bite, And I had a couple games, and I had all the gear and the guitars and the drums and everything. And so, but not one person even responded to ask me about it. So she calls me up and says, "You still got that rock band stuff?" And I said, "Yeah, of course I do." And she goes, "I got a friend. I think she wants it. She's going to call you." And so she gets off the phone. Her friend calls me and says, "Oh my God, we've been wanting to play this game for a long time. Your friend told us what you have, and so we'll give you $200 for everything you got. It sounds like you got a lot of good stuff, and it works and it's nice." And I was like, "Okay, sure, absolutely." I would have taken $20 at that point. I lived in a small little apartment. I just wanted to get rid of it, get it out of the living room. And so as soon as I got off the phone, though, I had that epiphany or revelation or aha moment. The light bulb goes off in my head. And I said, "Oh my gosh, somebody just offered me $200 for something I couldn't give away. the night after, within a few hours of someone asking me for money, and then I gave them $20, and $200 is tenfold of what $20 is that I'd given away I'd never given before. And then I immediately was downloaded with the idea that that's how Jesus fed 5,000 people with 2 fish and 3 loaves of bread, that he gave what he had graciously with gratitude, and he gave everybody else something first, and that somehow magic is real, and this thing multiplied, and by the end there was more stuff, there was more fish and more bread than when they started. And I was just like, I was overwhelmed. I was like, that's how you do it. That's real magic. This is not, it's not a story, it's real, and it's something that we can all still do today. And so I realized, like, in my abundance, like, although I'm not always that giving and grateful, but I practice regularly giving money out to people, especially homeless people, and giving $5, $10, $20 sometimes, whatever I feel like is necessary at that moment.
Yeah.
And I've gotten so many free things, I can't tell you, at this point coming back. And I knew that was because of that.
Yeah, that absolutely is the root of the metaphysical law, is that if you want to receive, you have to give.
Yeah, absolutely. Yeah, and I don't think it's a law or rule for a certain faith or anything. I think it's a universal law. That's just how it goes. And whether we want to move to another country, or if you want to go to another planet, you're going to, the same things are going to manifest in the same ways. But that to me was definitely one of them. That giving to people whatever they needed when they needed, and giving more. Christ said to give with your left hand that your right hand doesn't know. That means like pulling your hand in your pocket and not knowing how much money coming out and just hand it to somebody. Like it's hard to give like that, and I've tried to give like that before, and but I have experienced miracles and magic of things happening, and I do know that that's because of that, for sure. And just believing, I think one other thing is believing you're worthy. I think that's a huge deal, because if you don't believe you're worthy of things to come in, it really blocks things. So for instance, if you say to someone like, hey, you look good today, your hair looks nice, and you're one of those people that block off like, oh, not today, and I'm not, whatever. You're blocking that from receiving to come in. If you're one of those people, you really are blocking, that's just one little thing, but you're probably blocking some big things from coming in as well. So I've been open to that. And then another story would be, I had a friend who was very wealthy. He was like the COO of a company, and he asked me to go to church with him one day. And so I was like, sure, I'll go with you. And we were driving up to Denver, and he was telling me he wanted to stay away from these girls that he was meeting. He was meeting girls at the bar, and they weren't working out, and they were problems, And I was like, well, he's like, help me stay away from that. I was like, well, all I know about the universe, man, is we can't focus on what we don't want. You have to focus on what you do want, seeing that coming in and receiving that. So I said, what's your favorite thing that you like to do? And he said, mountain biking. And I was like, perfect. I was like, then what you need to do is focus on mountain biking, going and having fun, enjoying it, and see yourself meeting people, especially women, if that's what you want, and finding those people who are already doing those things instead of finding some lady at the bar and trying to bring her to go mountain biking. She's probably not going to go with you, So go do the things that you love already, and you'll find those people doing it. And, I was just, okay, this guy's wealthy, and I'm thinking, this is something I wanted to do too. I wanted to get a mountain bike, and I wanted to learn to ride and trail ride and everything. And so I knew this was going to happen. And one way or another, I just knew that this guy, because he had a lot of money, and he would help me out. Like, he would give me the money, I'd pay him back in payments, something. But I just had no doubt in my mind that soon I was going to receive a mountain bike, and that somehow he would probably help me in that way, some way. So I just was like, yep, we're going to get mountain bikes. We're going to go ride, and we'll meet other people doing it, and we'll meet those beautiful people that you want to meet. He's like, that sounds great. Let's do that. And we just kind of like let the subject go, and it was gone. Like, yeah. And so it is. Bam, leave it alone. And we went to his church, and then after that, we went to his house, and then we went to a neighbor's house to go grab some stuff to wash his car or whatever. And we walked in this guy's garage, and he had like a dozen mountain bikes. And we just like, oh my gosh, we were just talking about this. And I was like, tell me about all your mountain bikes. And he nails all these mountain bikes. He says all the ones he's got and everything. He fails to talk about one, which is green and black. It matches my Jeep at the time. And I'm just like, wow, what about that one over there? That one looks really cool. And he goes, oh, that's a bike I don't even ride anymore. And I was like, oh, you don't? And he goes, no, actually, if you want it, you could have it. And I was like, seriously? And he said, yes. He goes, absolutely. So within a couple hours of just knowing I was going to get this thing, believing that it was coming somehow, and I relinquished of how, it just showed up the same day within a couple hours. And I was just like, man, this is how magic works. That's how life of abundance is. You don't have to have money to get a mountain bike. Someone can literally give you one. And I know for some people it's hard if you've never been given a cool thing like that. But you have to be worthy too a little bit. You have to know that I deserve a life of abundance, and I think that's a huge part of the recipe, is knowing that I deserve it.
And there clearly seems to be an element of faith and an element of intuition and trust, that you're not trying to control the situation to figure out how that's going to come into play.
Yeah, how it comes you cannot be attached to the how, like it's going to cost money or you're going to get it this way. You have to be completely relinquish attachment to how it comes in. And in fact, I think one of the good things to practice is I'm open to any way it comes in. However it wants to come into my life, I'm open to that, and say that out loud to the universe and believe it and feel it. Because, I mean, it may come even better than you can imagine. It may come, and I think that's something I heard people talk about before. Maybe, how can this get any better? How could this be better than I can even imagine? I'm open to that and allowing that to be. And I think that's really important into having that things come in and, like I said, not be attached that I have to pay for it, I have to work for it, or I have to do this to get it. It can only come this way. It's not true. It could come a lot of different ways. One of the great stories in the Bible is when Jesus sent his disciples out. He says, don't bring anything with you. Don't bring any food. Don't bring clothes. Don't bring stuff. Just go. And when they go and they meet the right people, they give them a place to stay. They feed them. They tell them the good news and everything. And they come back and he goes, did you need anything? Like, nope. We met the right people, gave us food to eat. And when I've traveled, I've experienced similar things where people wouldn't even let me go to my hotel. They brought me into their home. They took me out to dinner. They paid for it. And I just realized, like, man, that is abundance. That it's not just about money and physicality. It's about living a life where the things just come in. That's awesome.
Yeah, and Jesus definitely talks about being like the birds. They don't need to think about paying for a mortgage.
Storing things up. Yeah, absolutely.
Being free of worry, constantly removing worry. It seems like worry is actually one of the main things that blocks our proper manifestation, or a life of faith, I should say, because worry kind of represents the opposite of faith.
Yes, not believing it.
Yeah.
People have to believe something before, or see something before they can believe it. But to me, I'm soon to be a father here in a couple months, and a lot of people ask me, "Are you worried? You're going to have to work, and your partner will stay at home." And I really I don't feel worried about that aspect at all. I just feel like we're part of this tribe. We're really connected to all these different people who have all these great abilities, and I really just see them showing up whenever we need something. Someone need to take care of the kid, or we need this, or we need that, and I just feel like it's going to show up whenever it needs to. And so I really do feel abundant in that way, that she's just going to be taken care of, and that the people in our tribe are just going to help us. It takes a village. We can't all do it by ourselves. And I think when you're in that mode of I'm responsible for everything, and like I'm by myself and no one helps me, like, yeah, that's really tough to not be attached to, I'm not going to have enough. But when you realize, like, man, I'm part of a good group of people who want to help me and want to be in my life and want to show up, and then it makes it so much easier to realize, like, oh, I don't have to worry, because everything's going to work out. And so far, everything has worked out. Why distrust the universe at this point that it hasn't? Because it definitely has,
Yeah.
So that's a big thing too.
So yeah, definitely having a community helps a lot with spiritual community. Do you feel that for people who feel very stuck, is there anything else that would help them, encourage them in their faith, in their trusting of the universe?
Man, I think the thing that really changes it all is the experience. That one, maybe two, but usually it's that one big experience of something metaphysical happening that for you, there's no possible way this is a coincidence. And I think that's supposed to happen to everyone. I really do. Synchronicities, being in the right place at the right moment, that really is like the magic that shows up. And I think once you have that, then you can't go back to being, living a life where you don't have it. I mean, you may not be 100% on the path yet, but you have that experience to push you over and says, there's something to this universe. Things that I'm doing matter because this is coming back to me.
Yeah. It's definitely. I was a very analytical thinker for a lot of my life, and it was when I finally opened to the idea of intuition being something kind of beyond me, that it wasn't just coming from a part of my mind that was, very logically basing everything off of my past memories, but it might actually be something that was coming in through me that I wasn't able to fully appreciate, that this was a source of information that is like infinite in its wisdom. I wasn't able to get to that point. But when I did get to that point, then it's like all the experiences start to unfold. It's like
Right.
things start to become more obvious, and you get those clues more and more that you're being guided and directed, and this is really truly what you came for, is to be guided into your mission, not through your conscious decision making as much, but through your faith.
Yeah, and I think that's more what it is, not believing in a certain book or a certain person, but just having faith in your own journey, that you're here for a reason, you're here for a purpose, and that intuition that talks to you, man, that's yours and yours alone, and you need to listen to it, and it's important. In fact, I even have a story with that in talking to my parents and really waking up and trying to share things that I thought were obvious things in the Bible to my experience, but they saw them as metaphysical and not godly or not Christian, which was really difficult. And so, I'm a little bit frustrated, but I'm still trying, and I'm still feeling good. I'm trying to tell them all kinds of cool things that I thought were important in my journey of waking up. And I just wanted them to have some of these things too, and see that I'm not so far into the other field that I'm not resonating with Christianity more with these words. They're actually more prevalent now than ever. They mean more to me now than ever. And one of the things I said, even the Bible says, there's a line that says you can look to the left or look to the right, but you hear that voice in the back of your head telling you where to go, and that's the one you should follow. And that was the last thing I said. And my mom and dad like, okay, we're going to church now. Be quiet, and then we'll all go sit down and go to church. Like, all right, fine. No, it's fine, So we go in and we sit down, and there's a Bible just in the pew right next to my mom, and she picks it up and she opens it up to a certain page, and on that page she opens up, there's a Bible verse that has the exact same words that I just said, the last thing that I just said, that looking, look to the left, look to the right, and she turned around, she goes, look at this. I go, I told you, see? There's a guiding, and so I just feel like you don't have to have like this, feeling of pushing it on people or trying to convince people, which I felt like I did it. I did this all first just for my own information. Then I felt like I had a responsibility to go back and tell other people. But then it was hard. I was like, man, I'm trying to tell people and they make fun of you, or they think you're crazy, or, and then you're just like, all right, well then I'll tell people who are ready. And then that's when it became like a thing where the synchronicities happen more, when people were hungry, when they wanted to know, and you can't just go put it on anybody. So
one other point I thought would be good to talk about is, sometimes our minds are so busy, so full of worries or drama. It's hard to hear the voice that's guiding you. And for me, meditation and prayer has helped a lot. To me, prayer is kind of like an invitation to meditation, to listening to God. Meditation is the process of just trying to allow yourself to listen instead of allowing your mind to run like crazy.
All right.
Do you meditate?
Yes, absolutely. And take time regularly by myself just to get calm, get relaxed. And especially with the job I do, I feel like almost every session I go to, I park my car outside and I sit there for a couple minutes just trying to find my stillness, find my divine spark inside of myself, and go in that room with that energy today. And no matter what happens, I'll be led by that intuition. So I think it's really important to have that attention all day long.
Yeah.
And that's what the miracles happen. And like I said, to me now, I walk into someone's house and the things that we talk about or discuss are incredible things too. Even when I first moved to Colorado and doing some of those things and going to people's homes, it just shows me how much I've grown, that my own inner beingness has grown so much. The people that are coming in are showing me a reflection to myself that is obvious to me that, hey man, you've done a lot of work and you're having cool conversations with people, or being at a party and just going and sit down and playing with the kids, and then randomly here comes somebody, come sit next to me and have the deepest conversation for like an hour.
Yeah.
And I'd be like, I never thought I would have had this conversation at a party, but here it is. And that's just, I think that's me, showing me that I'm attracting these incredible experiences.
Yeah, that's the greatest when it's just the universe throwing you randomness.
Yeah, it's not random. It feels like it, but it's amazing, right?
Yeah. Yeah, I've had some profound experiences helping homeless people. It's just like, I don't know what I'm doing sometimes, but it's like, there I am in the situation with somebody who's desperately needing help, and just, I was just a little bit willing to trust that I didn't know why I was doing what I was doing, but there's the reason right in front of me. Yeah,
it's easy to have judgment a lot of times, be like, oh, that person, they did this, or they're a druggie, or they did that, or they don't deserve it, and you just come up with all these reasons not to give or not to help. But if you can see that person as God, that's what they are. It's God in the flesh. They may not even know it, but oftentimes I do practice that regularly. I always have at least $20 in cash in my pocket at all times, just to try to give money out. And one of the things that, like I said to myself, is not only do I want to give money, but I want to give a kind word. I want to give something else besides that that's even more important than that. So, with that time that I'm giving somebody a couple of dollars, or 5 or 10 or 15 or 20, whatever I feel like at the moment is needed, I say, hey, you know what? Most people, this is what happens most of the time, most people say, God bless you. And I always say, you just did. And some people won't say anything back, but some people are like, what do you mean? And I was like, well, aren't you God? And you just blessed me. So you don't have to say it, you just did it. You did it. And they're like, man, you're right. You're right. And that makes you feel good, because, man, a lot of times homeless people who've had this really intense, hard life, to know what it's like to hurt, to know what it's like to be hungry, they have some of the most incredible spiritual experiences to share with people. And I think I've been blessed to get those conversations with people that most people wouldn't get, because they have that really powerful judgment on them that this person is worthless and they don't have anything to offer me. But I can guarantee you that they do.
It seems as though, our society is kind of built around a very insane system of trying to take without the giving. And homeless people are kind of like a representation of just the extent we've gone to feel that people who are our brothers and sisters are unworthy of love. But ultimately, it seems like we need to throw out this whole money-making system and just begin to see each other as family again. And that seems to me to be the way in which abundance flows freely.
Yeah, I agree. I mean, like I said, I can't tell you how many times something has come into my life in a week where I needed it, and realizing that when I gave money to this person, all of a sudden this dresser I was looking for came in. And most of the time, like the bed I have, my dressers, most of the furniture I have in my house, it all came freely somehow. I just showed up at the right place at the right time and someone gave it to me. And I realized that giving money out, giving the things that people need, and just relinquishing your attachment to that person doesn't deserve it, or they're homeless, or maybe they deserve that, or they earn that in some way. Like, nah, man, just see it as a person, see it as yourself. I mean, we know nowadays, you can lose your house over an injury, you can lose everything. And, because most people live in paycheck to paycheck. If you get hurt or sick or something, you can lose everything, and it's a couple months. And that could be me on the street. And so what I'm giving to others, I'm giving to myself. When I'm holding back from giving to others, I'm telling the universe, hold back from me, just give me the bare minimum, or make excuses not to give to me. But when I say, and I go up and I give someone, $20, and sometimes I'll go out and seek them, if I see someone in the corner and I feel really called to it and I hear the intuition, I'll be like, I'll walk over across the room and or the road or something, and go find someone who wasn't going to get me anyway, and go, hey man, you need this, here, take this, and like I said, I try to say something positive, that, you're loved, God loves you, and, not that it's attached to any kind of religion, but to just say, man, you know how much worthy you are and how beautiful you are. And usually I feel like they start crying, and then if they start crying, I start crying. It's just this beautiful moment. And it's like, you could be mad and angry and have that moment, and you're entitled to that, and that's right, that's your contrast. Or you can have this beautiful moment that happens to me, several times a week, and I feel grateful that I get to experience that, that I have some money to give to someone else. Like, that's more than a lot of people have, So
yeah. And absolutely, it seems like, there's just a bunch of angels that are helping everybody all the time. And they're a part of our guidance system, I think, and just making sure that all the different pieces fall in place so that the maximal spiritual teachings can occur through these exchanges.
Yeah. No, yeah, I definitely felt that. And I felt like, presence of my grandparents and aunts and uncles and stuff guiding and saying, hey, look, go out there and find that person, seek out that person, give to them, without counting it, or without having attachment to you not having enough today. Because I feel like a lot of times when we're in that spiritual lack, we're in that monetary lack. And so when we realize, man, I am not in lack ever, and I can change my attitude, just right here, right now, to me, that's the moment that the universe is giving you to get back on it, to get back in the groove, to give, and realize, like, I'm lacking because I'm not giving. Because I definitely have gone times where I'm not seeking this out, I'm not giving as much, and then all of a sudden I start going in the dumps. And then there are times where I'm like, oh man, I got to keep my money in my pocket, got to have my cash, and I'm giving it out, and then it just seems like abundance, everything's coming when it needs to come.
Yeah.
And like I said, it's not necessarily things. Sometimes it's events. Sometimes it's, okay, now I can lead cacao ceremonies and make money off of it or something. And that came into my reality all of a sudden because I needed to be in abundance for that to come into my reality. That couldn't come unless I was feeling abundant, unless I felt worthy of it. But when I don't feel worthy, when I don't feel like I have enough, and then how can these, not just money, but situations and events and things that we can, even just enjoy, when someone says, hey, do you want to come to this event with me? Like we're putting up walls that hold us back from this, abundance, which is to me is like friends, it's, family members, it's, it's experiences, it's aha moments. It's just this incredible, magical life that, man, it's supposed to be for everybody, but like so many of us, we don't get to experience it. People say, well, it's sad, but like, I don't want to pit anyone because if you have that enough, if you suffer enough, if you're in lack enough, something's got to give, something's got to change. And that's where I was a bartender in Atlanta. And, although I may be dating beautiful, pretty people, I was lacking happiness. I was lacking connection. And I just felt like there's so much more to life than money, cars and clothes and things and status and hanging out with a celebrity or something. I'm missing out on something great. And so I decided, you know what, I'm going to give away all the things I got. And if the law of attraction is real, which I believe it is, I'll get all the things back and more. And now I finally own my own home. I own a nice vehicle. I have a family, that's coming in tune to my alignment. So I just feel like I could have never had that had I been in that lifestyle still. But that's the abundance. It's like now I'm having a daughter. Now I have a partner that I do, spiritual activities with, and we have people that we hang out with, and we have beautiful friends, and that means way more to me than having the next brand new iPhone or what I mean, whatever else it is that most people are probably going after to be happy.
Yeah. We could wrap up soon, but one final thing I thought maybe is important to address again, if it's not already properly addressed, is, people, once they start to turn some kind of a rule like the law of attraction and say, well, I guess this means I have to be giving more. If they get that too much in their minds, it can turn into a guilt system again, that they feel guilty for not giving more. They feel anxiety around giving. And I would imagine if people are feeling anxiety around giving or guilt around giving, that's probably not the right heart space.
No, yeah, I don't think so either. I mean, to me, it's like people say, how much should I give? And like, there is no how much you should. To me, honestly, it's what you feel like you should give today. And like I said, to me, ultimately, the best thing is to give with your left hand, so your right hand doesn't know, just to reach your money into your pockets. I mean, like I said, to the extent that you give, is it was what's given back to you, And I mean, that's not the reason to give. You don't give to, I'm going to get a bunch back for this, But just to, like I said, hold that gratitude in the space of, man, this feels good to give. It feels good to make someone's day or to give someone a meal, Or if you don't feel good about giving money, give them a meal if they're hungry. Don't pay for them something at Subway. I've done that before too. And that felt good sometimes because sometimes I do feel like maybe I shouldn't give this person cash because I feel like I know what they're about to go do. But I'd love to give them a sandwich. And so I've taken that time. And like I said, in the line, waiting for someone to make me a sandwich, I'm sitting here with this person and talking to them. And, I'm using that time as wisely as I can to say affirmations to them, let them know they're loved. And, again, like I said, to me, after it's over, I feel like both of us have gained something from the universe, much more than me just giving them a sandwich or money or something. We've both got this connection. People are good and kind still. There's still that goodness out there. There's still people, out there that although they, may look like they're not deserving, they're credible. They have incredible stories that they want to share and, and wisdom and stuff that most people aren't listening to them because they deem them as homeless people and not worthy. But like I said, I've had some incredible conversations with people who didn't have homes or, seemed to be lacking and, tell me about something that they saw, experienced, or felt. And I just like, wow, I've known you for 5 minutes and you told me something deeper than someone I work with I've known for 10 years.
Yeah. And,
you just share with me something incredible. So it's,
yeah. For me, it seems to be all about making sure we can give out of love. And like, I love the example from Jesus of, carrying the burden from the soldier 1 mile is what he requested, but always going the extra mile, going about twice as much of what was normally be expected of you. And in that experience, in my experience, when you say, they've asked for this, but I'm going to give twice as much, then that can be interpreted as love. And that experience of love is much, much easier to understand and get in that heart space through the process. And I think that's really the magical place to be in.
Yes. Have you ever like worked at a job where it was just kind of like mundane, maybe, and you were sweeping the floor or making sandwiches or something, but you were sweeping the floor great, and you had a great attitude, and there were other people who were cooking food who were making more money than you who weren't as grateful. And I mean, I've been in the restaurant business for a long time. I've been in working with people for a long time, and I realized, like the best thing I can do is just work hard and be the best me I can be. And that has always moved me up the ladder faster than anybody else. And I think that it's just part of that, like, give more. The way you sweep the floor is all about you. It's not about the job. It's not about the money that you're given. It's all about who you are and what's inside. When you're grateful to have any kind of job, when you're grateful to have any place to go to make money, when you are grateful just to be here, it shows, it sings out loud, like, I'm going to do this the best I can. Maybe somebody can do it better, but I'm going to have a good attitude about it. And that has always brought me abundance. And I feel that when you say that about, go that extra mile. That's why I feel like that turns your life. And that's another great recipe to turn your life into abundance, is just be grateful to be here, sweep the floor the best you can, wipe up the counter the best you can. I always really pride myself in, when I worked in restaurants and stuff, and someone said, will you go clean the counters off? And I would clean them, and then I knew that you didn't have to go behind me. There are some people that you figured you're going to have to go behind that person and clean, but I knew when I did it, you weren't going to go behind me. And I think everybody else in that building knew when I did it that I was going to do it my best. And I've always, like I said, I've always been, moved up from, like a busboy to this to that to the manager of the building with the key. And, like I said, I think it was just because, and I've gotten jobs that way too, just showing up and like, sometimes just showing up at the Mellow Mushroom. Hey man, can I help you clean up? And they're like, okay, sure, yeah, you ain't getting paid. It's like, I don't need to get paid, but you're gonna give me a job eventually. You don't have to say that, but you know it. I just kind of knew it. I was like, if I just go in there and help, somebody's gonna hire me eventually.
Yeah.
And I've gotten many jobs like that without a resume, without having a reference. They're just like, they see it. And if this guy goes the extra mile, yeah, I want to give this guy a job. So
yeah. Ultimately, the way people view work doesn't have to be the seen as a burden. It can be seen as an honor and a joy that we get to be serving others.
Yes,
and that's really what it's about.
Serving others. I think, and Christ said that the greatest among us was a servant, right? That there's something incredibly empowering about helping others always. Because every time you help someone else without any attachment to it, it seems like they have the next part of your journey, the next person you need to meet, the next job that you can have, or help get you somewhere you need to be. And it really just seems like you can get so much farther with so little intention, with so little trying. But it starts with being yourself, being unconditional love, and being grateful that I'm here, that I get to work, that I get to do this, that I get to try that. And like, I'm not above cleaning the floor. I'm not above washing someone's feet. I'm not above anything, I'm the universe in ecstatic motion, which means I am the wave and the ocean at the same time, and that's incredibly awesome. And I feel like how much of our life would change, and we would be in much more abundance if we just accepted that, like, yes, I'm a person, but I'm also God in the flesh, and I'm humble to the point that I'm this tiny little speck, but I'm this incredible, powerful creator, and I create my own life and everything. And if I take responsibility for that, man, like, it just, everything changes, and it's just like, I've been afraid. I've been afraid for a long time to be that person, to lead a ceremony or to talk about something that I think some people would judge hard. But now I just feel like, I don't care, what my intuition says to do, like, talk to this person today, share this with this person, do this, if you're at a party and people are cleaning up, grab the trash can, take it out for them, whatever it is. I've always got more by doing more and being grateful for the opportunity, as opposed to having this chip on my shoulder, like, me take the trash out, me do this, I don't do that, And I feel like it in people when you see somebody, that good person that just resonates with you, like, man, I know that's a good person, and I want that person on my team, I want that person working for me, whatever. So yeah, ultimately we have to I think a lot of what we're going through is a process of letting go of who we thought we had to be, and throw away our idea of ambition and take on a new idea which is more based on these principles. Yes, absolutely. And I think that's what all religions are really pointing to. You can do all the things I'm doing and greater things, Christ said. All the things I'm doing and greater things, man. How come we don't do those things? Because he did the simplest things with the utmost importance. It was his mission, to love people, to be there for somebody, to listen to somebody. I mean, one of the things that I find coming up right now, when you talk about just being with homeless people, so many people don't want to be. But he sat with the drunkards and the homeless people and the people at the bar. People like, why are you sitting with them? The tax collectors. Why are you sitting with those guys? Those guys are nuts. But like those are people that are suffering the most. They're sometimes the most open people because they are suffering the most, and they know like I need something in my life. For some people who are, not that hot or cold yet, and they don't understand that. So I enjoy. I work with autistic kids and adults, and I feel like it's an incredible privilege to get to go into people's homes and work with sometimes difficult people who have incredibly difficult problems, and to realize that I'm not there to judge or to tell them what to do or what to think, but I'm there a lot of times mostly just to hold space, to be there for them, to hug them if they need it, to love them if they need it, say, you know what, I felt the same things before. I felt depression and anger and but a lot of times it's really just waiting and listening and because a lot of times people tell you like, I'm having this problem, I'm depressed, I feel bad. They don't necessarily want you to be like, yeah, I've had that, like they just want to be heard, they just want to be heard. They just want to be like, someone's here to listen. And I feel like just being that person that gets to sit there and listen sometimes is a lot. And I feel grateful that I just get to, whatever else you need. You want to get something off your chest, say it. And now they come back to me and say, Jacob, is there anything you need to talk to me about? And I'm like, that's a good one. Hey, sometimes there is. And it's nice to be able to say it to somebody who has no judgment and say, you know what, that's human, that's understandable. So, a life of abundance, I think we all are worthy. We can all have it, but we have to relinquish our attachment to that. It has to come in this way. It has to be money. It has to be stuff. It has to be things. It could be a partner, it could be a situation, it could be circumstances, events, it could be new laws to the universe. Instead of, when it rains it pours, be like, it rains abundance on me and avalanches, and I listen to that stuff a lot in the car, just over and over and over again, just reprogramming my brain that I am worthy, I am abundant, I am, enough, and those things over and over again. Because I've said to myself, man, you're a crappy person, you're worthless, and nobody likes you. And I've been that person, I've said that to myself a billion times, and I brainwashed myself to believe that. So now I feel like it's time to wash it out with some new stuff, some new programs, some new orders, some new affirmations. And sometimes it takes a little bit of time, but I think when it comes down to it, if you're open to a new experience and having that really spiritual, almost out of body like experience happen sometimes, and I think that's what really changes your life.
Yeah.
So.
Yep. All right. That was a fantastic discussion.
Yes, it was. Thank you so much, Mike.
Thanks for listening.
Thank you guys for listening. Yes, so much.